It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. It's donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. I got to say, I was having some conversations before the show started, and it's like, man, what a boring week for Notre Dame football not to have a game. I just wish there was something we could talk about since there was no Notre Dame game this weekend. What will fill the void? What will fill our entertainment void with no Notre Dame football? My gosh, what a wild weekend. What a wild weekend. And it's been like a whirlwind with the media and the news cycle, and Brian Kelly and the LSU media is going through it, and who is right and who is wrong and all this stuff. And it's just, quite frankly, if you're me, you love to see it. If you're me, I absolutely leaned into this. I have been completely obnoxious. I have been trolling nonstop, and I think it's totally justified. So this will all quiet down. LSU will move on. Kelly will go do media or whatever he's going to go do. Golf with Jimbo on whatever they're going to do. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. But for this weekend, this was a victory lap for a lot of people. It was a victory lap for a lot of people. And here's what I don't like. I don't like when a lot of media people throw out all these takes and then switch it up later and just keep it moving like they weren't wrong before. And then act like they were in on the right angle now because it's happening. And think everybody's going to forget they were on the record before being totally wrong. No. So you got to let people know when there has to be accountability on this stuff. And the LSU media is going through it right now. And that's my take on it. And I want to say this too. I am going to give the LSU media people a little grace on one part of this. The hardest thing I ever do is a live post-game show 1 second after disaster happens to Notre Dame. It is very, very hard to have no time to write notes, no time to clear your mind, no time to filter your emotions in a catastrophe. And then 1 minute later, you're expected to talk to all these people around the country about when you have no prep time and your mind is racing a million miles an hour and you got to go live. It is the hardest thing that I ever do as one of those shows after a bad loss. The LSU people went through that. They knew it was over. They were struggling. They were battling, and I understand it because I've been there where your head's spinning so fast you can't even process anything. I've been there, and they were all there this weekend, but that's what you get. That's what you get when you've been wrong for years, covering for a guy, making excuses for a guy, making it something it was never going to be and making him something he never was. Okay? So they're going through it. Here's what I want to do today. There's a lot of people that I'm sure have a lot that they want to talk about with Brian Kelly. I'm going to say one thing here, and I'm going to kind of maybe give it to you guys, depending on how many people want to jump in. I put the link. I'm going to put it again right now. And I want to give you guys some time. It's been me on the weekend talking about this, dropping my bombs all over the internet, whatever. I want to give you guys some time. So let me get through the introduction. I'm going to do a couple chats, and then we'll get into it. I have one big bullet point I need to do. I'm going to do that quick, give it to you guys, and we'll go from there. We got a bunch of regulars that want to jump in on this. As always, thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Yanni out as well. Notifications on. You don't miss nothing. Twitter. Search bar. Ooh, my Twitter is juicy this weekend. Search bar always Irish or always Irishing. John, don't you think you're being immature and going overboard with all of this trolling? Yes, I do. Yes, in fact, I do. And I do not apologize for it. So, audio only. Anywhere you want it, you could get it. If you don't want to see my face, nobody blames you for that. How do you think I feel? If you want to join, jump in, link. You'll be on a hold backstage. I'll bring you up. We're going to have a lot of people, so everybody's going to try and get to your point and move along. Slide box. Show us your buyout. We want to see your buyout. You know what? Hand it to Brian Kelly for getting the deal he got. I mean, he's going to, the guy's got rich as can be. He could do whatever he wants or do nothing the rest of his life. Like, in the end, he kind of does win. Like, if the goal here is enough generational money to support your family forever, like, I guess he won, even though he lost. The guy won. So it's like, oh, John, good job. You were right on that. And I get some extra YouTube views. He was dead wrong, and he gets 53 million. So it's like, I was right, but he's rich. So it's just, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The pettiness Saturday on Blake's show fed my Irish soul. That's exactly how I feel about it. And it was personal to me. Their media made it personal with me. And now that everybody knows I was right and they were wrong, they got to own it. And there's got to be accountability. Maybe I'll go back to liking LSU again. I had nothing against LSU before all this. Maybe I thought it was a great culture, football culture I liked. Maybe I don't mind seeing them beat Alabama, quite frankly. Might help Notre Dame now that guy's out of there. Wouldn't that be the best thing ever? You get that guy out of the building, you get the effect of they all play better and they give Alabama another loss. So I don't know. What SPF? What are you talking about? John will rant on our one LSU follower. I just give him credit for being here. God bless you. I respect you, SPF. John will rant on BK being fired, but as quiet as a mouse on Freeman. When we lose, we talk about accountability. I have no idea what you're referencing. Rant on BK being fired, but quiet on a mouse on the guy that's won more major games in 3 years than Kelly won in over a decade. I don't know what you want me to say. And when they fall short, I come on here and say everybody needs to do better. But Notre Dame's trending in the right direction, going to be in a good spot while all this coaching chaos happens. Notre Dame's in a comfortable spot. You talk on the OC and DC, not that coach. If things aren't good enough, it all falls on Freeman. Northern Illinois was Freeman's fault. Like, all this stuff, man. That's fair. You can question Freeman. Why don't they play that great in September? That's on Freeman. I don't know. So, geez, when we fail, yeah, you got to question Freeman. But it isn't a question of, are you ruining our entire culture? Like, I might question what the game plan was against Miami. I'm not saying, why you ruined our entire culture? Those are two different levels of questioning. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. We're going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight. Myself and Mike Goolsby breaking it all down. Thanks to everybody who's there already. Link in the description. Notre Dame on SI. Read all about it. I have an article up this morning about all the coaching changes and how Notre Dame can benefit from this instability around the landscape. It's going to be interesting to see where all the dominoes fall on all these coaching things. Okay, let me do a couple of these. Chats. SPF. So he ruined a culture that was non-existent 20 years before him. Hey, talk to your own former players. Don't talk to me. Your own former players are talking out about what Kelly did to the culture. He's talking, these guys are coming out of the woodwork saying Kelly didn't invite us back. He didn't want people from the 19 championship back in the building, spreading that winning culture. He didn't want that. Stories about them wanting him to go build a roster, but he needed a vacation instead. This stuff's all coming out. SPF, be mad about your own people. Your own former players that won titles here are calling Kelly out, and you're mad at me? You're saying I'm taking liberties? Get on Twitter and tell your own players to quit yelling about this then. Your own people are mad about it. Don't yell at me. They can't get back in the building. Won a championship and he wouldn't let him back in the building. Yell at I'm telling you, this was all predictable. Every bit of it was predictable. All right. Let's do a couple super chats. I have one little statement and then we'll get to you guys. Okay. Tex Andy, good morning, always Irish Nation. We always knew. Some just needed to learn the hard way. It's a tough scene in the LSU media circle. Kelly is the only one who probably didn't see the firing coming. Notre Dame made him too comfortable going 9-3, 8-4, being fine with it. You guys are spoiled. And here's the other thing. I see a lot of people taking shots at Josh Pate because originally he said this was about as sure of a thing as it could be, and then now he's flipped or whatever. I got to give Pate credit for giving me credit. Me and Brian. And so to get Brian and I together, Josh Pate put a tweet saying, credit to Always Irish and Coach D for being right about this the whole time. Say what you want about Pate. He's a Bigfoot in the sport, and I'll take the shout out on Twitter. So I'll take that. So that was a nice little bonus that I'll take from that, is him giving me a shout out for being right on this from the beginning. I'll take it. Yeah, this is interesting, Jay Carr. Funny how Florida and LSU, the supposed top schools available, don't even have a president. The governor's in charge at LSU and the boosters hate Scott Strickland, and they have issues with the president. It's really interesting. Hearing the LSU people talk about the governor's involvement in all these decisions, that's really unique and really, it's just like a foreign concept to a private insulated school like Notre Dame. To think that those head coaching decisions coming from a politician, it's kind of wild. Does this mean we could go back to rooting for LSU to beat Bama? If LSU beats Bama, it helps Notre Dame, and it further makes Kelly look bad. I'm not against that outcome. That just makes it look even worse, and then it gives Alabama another loss. Nikki Dean loves to be heard and seen. How is LSU the top job out there? They're in a rebuild, lose half their class next year. I will say this. I could argue LSU may be the easiest place to recruit top-end talent to in the whole country. I could make that argument. You build a 300-mile radius around where they're at, and you look at the athletes in that circle, the lack of needing to have straight A's and top test scores to get in, and you build that recruiting circle where they're at, you should have no problem getting top-end talent in there over and over and over again. You could build a 300-mile net in every direction, never have to get on a plane and fill out a 4- and 5-star roster. What team makes the mistake and picks up BK? Now, I don't know what he's going to want to do. He could do nothing. He could do media and collect a big check, still kind of be relevant and feed his ego a little bit on TV. I don't know. The Penn State people are the most unlikable people in the world. Maybe that's a fit for Brian Kelly. Although him and Franklin are kind of interchangeable to me in a lot of ways. Kelly's personality's worse, but I don't know what the guy's going to want to do. He could sit out a year, chill out. Part of me wonders if Kelly's just done with the modern college football stuff. I don't know. SPF. So glad BK's not at LSU because now John has to do real content. Talk about Freeman. John wants BK to Penn State. It'd be great for business. It would just be unlikables matching. Unlikable fan base, unlikable everything, and it matches his personality. $10 holler from Ryan. Happy Monday, everybody. Can we all say vindication? Time to eat some crow, local LSU media. Good to see some national media saying what we've been saying for 4 years. Give it ND credit. I think the big takeaway from this is be glad Notre Dame's in a stable spot. I think Ohio State is the only team I'm really worried about Freeman jumping for, and it's not available. I think the next phase of this all needs to be looking at the landscape of all the coaching changes and the upheaval it's going to cause, and being grateful and thankful that Notre Dame's not a part of that. And Notre Dame can benefit from it. That's a part of it. I'm going to talk to Mike about that in detail on Raw tonight, getting into all of this stuff at a deeper level and how Notre Dame can benefit. It's going to be a wild, uncertain time for a lot of people. So I'm here for that, and I can't wait to get into that with Mike on Raw. And so it's wild how many people don't like Brian Kelly. Like, I know how we were going to handle this if it ever happened. I am a little surprised. People just don't like the guy, man. People just do not like that guy. And there's a lot of reasons. It's amazing. BK was the stepping stone, not ND. And I do see the framework coming from the LSU people saying, I think it was Mascana, one of those guys said late Saturday night, did you notice right when Notre Dame felt jilted and got their feelings hurt when Kelly left, they decided to invest in football and all that? Like, that's somebody who doesn't understand the back and forth that was going on in Notre Dame. And Kelly wanted stuff from Notre Dame. Notre Dame wanted stuff from Kelly. Neither side was willing to do it. So nothing happened. There was a lot going on that they're not recognizing. $2 holler. Kelly would be a good fit at Wisconsin, MSU, or Pitt. Those jobs are all below him. He would never do it. They're all below him. He's got an ego. He would never do it. $5 holler, Mikey Poles. Now that BK's gone, John can finally wear his Livy Dunn shirt. Yeah, that's quite a thing. Quite a thing. Pat, what's going on, buddy?
Hi, Johnny. Good morning. How is everybody today?
Good.
First off, let me eat crow. I predicted LSU to win that football game because it just felt like a very Brian Kelly thing to do. Yeah. And not only did they not do it, but they got beaten so bad that Kelly got fired for it. Yeah. So, yeah, my bad. I was wrong. Even Brian Kelly failed to surprise me.
Yeah. It's just been a wild escalation here. I know you've been consuming Notre Dame media. I know you've been consuming LSU media.
I've been consuming a little bit of Notre Dame media.
Yeah, I would love to know kind of what your thoughts are here.
I don't know if this is going to play, but you talked about.
Hey, by the way, if you're on hold, we're going to get to you. I'm done doing my stuff. I want to talk to you guys, so we'll get through it.
Let's see. I got that Mascana clip up. I don't know if the audio will play, but let's give it a try. If you guys will be able to hear it, tell me if you can't hear this. I said to share the audio, so this should work.
Here, watch this.
Is like,
there we go.
Brian Kelly made Notre Dame relevant for the first time in 2 decades. Got them to playoffs twice, 14 playoff twice. Got them to BCS championship game. And they think he was their problem. And the reality is Notre Dame's problem is Notre Dame. Oh, they were their own impediment.
I love it. That's the best line.
And maybe now, in this era, they're willing to invest in their roster and loosen admission standards and things like that to build a roster that can compete. Maybe. I still don't know if that's the case. We'll see.
But the thing is, Pat, you could see how devastated he is. Like,
he is totally devastated.
That's late at night, Saturday night. He knows it's over. You could see he's totally worn thin. Like, you could just tell they know they're wrong and they don't know what to do. They're finding any angle, Pat, any angle to soften this thing.
He is literally double downing. He's double down on his original of why BK left Notre Dame is because Notre Dame doesn't give the resources. I can't believe he can make that statement that Notre Dame is its own impediment. First thing, they didn't invest in their roster when Brian Kelly was there. What do you mean? What does that even mean? There was no NIL when Brian Kelly was at Notre Dame. It came that
yeah,
first
wait. You guys don't get this twisted. This is not from years ago. This is from 2 nights ago.
This is
this
Saturday
was from
night.
Saturday night. Yeah, this is not like when he first got the job. This was now. This was 2 days ago.
This was Saturday night he said that. They are still delusional. They don't understand. This has got them so twisted because they defended this man against everything we brought about him. They defended him and defended him and defended him. And now, yeah, absolutely right, Tex Indy. They are in denial about it. They can't believe they were wrong. This is SEC football. They know football. Us Northerners don't know what we're talking about. These guys are so delusional about what just happened to them, and it's just not in them to admit that we were right. He's saying that Notre Dame didn't invest in the roster when Brian Kelly was there. I don't even know what that means. There was no NIL. And since NIL came around, Notre Dame has been a top 10 program investing in the roster year after year after year. So he is completely off base on that one. Brian Kelly, his time at Notre Dame, they built him a new practice facility. They added a training stable. They increased salaries for the staff. They added support staff to the program. They put turf in the stadium and pissed off all the alumni. They built him a brand new stadium. And then the plans for this new practice facility started with BK being there. And after all of that, it still wasn't enough for BK. He came back and he asked for more money, and Notre Dame told him to go win something before we give you anything else. And that's when he went to LSU. People don't let this be twisted. He didn't leave Notre Dame for LSU because he thought that was a better job. He left Notre Dame because he knew he was done squeezing the juice, and he had to go find someone else to squeeze it from. And the only credit I'll give to the vaunted SEC is that they didn't give this guy 12 years to flounder around. They didn't do it. They got rid of him. These guys don't know a clue about Notre Dame. He talks about academic restrictions. It doesn't even make sense. Marcus Freeman has the same academic restrictions as Brian Kelly does, and he recruits way better. I got another video from Mascana from 2 years ago talking about BK recruiting the 7th best team in the country, and he doesn't even have to leave LSU to do it. And he says, you know where Notre Dame was at? And he goes, before I tell you, Notre Dame had to hit 15 different states to get this class. He goes, they're 8. I go, okay. What is the point? I don't even understand what that means. These guys are unbelievable. I can't believe. I watched Ruffino. Ruffino is just lost. Like that guy, he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't even know what to say anymore. It's so bad. He went on and on and on about culture. And he said, culture's not the problem. Culture is the only problem that BK has. It's a toxic now. And in the LSU media, all the guys that didn't bury themselves with BK or are kind of like actual legitimate media, not just the podcaster world. No offense, John. They're out now. They're doing what Notre Dame media did. They're coming out with all the stories about all the bad stuff Brian Kelly did that they didn't report on. And so now all these guys who knew all this stuff that defended them, they don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. They are in a position of we defended. If Les Miles, if Ed O can, if Coach O can win titles here, BK can. BK couldn't. BK never could. He never can anywhere. He wasn't going to do it at Notre Dame. He's not going to do it obviously he's not going to do it at LSU now. And honestly, I don't think he gets another job. I think he's done coaching. I think he forced his own firing, and he's done. He's going to go live on his $54 million and do TV hits.
Yeah, it is. It's a perfect position to see the LSU media be in because they have a decision. The decision is you could say, okay, this failed, whatever, go all in on the failure. But then you have to admit that you were totally wrong on it. And so they're backed into a corner because they know they defended the guy. And now if they come out hard, they know they spent years saying this would work out. And the Notre Dame people, they're backed into a beautiful corner here, seeing them squirm because there's no good answer. I'll give Preston credit. Preston's the only one that I've seen come out and admit I was kind of wrong about this and whatever. I'll give him a little bit of credit for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
It's the delusion that these guys lived in, the fact that to a T, Everything we said would happen happened. Like there was no leeway. I couldn't believe it happened so fast. I thought he would have built something like he did at Notre Dame in his first 3 years. And this guy built nothing. Matter of fact, he hurt that institution more than he helped it. And people saying LSU is now the best job out there. No way. No chance in hell. You're talking about a school that was scraping to get together $18 million for the NIL. Firing Brian Kelly is going to cost this school $100 million.
Yeah, with the buyout and then buying the staff out and then hiring the new people.
The staff, you got to have to probably pay a big buyout to whatever coach you're hiring from whatever program he's at, and then you're going to have to pay him a boatload of money. It's going to cost $100 million at the end of the day. Yeah. And you already were going into a rebuilding year next year. You're going to have you're going to lose a slew of recruits, so his great vaunted recruiting isn't going to be there. That school has been set back a decade by this. A decade.
Man, it is.
Florida is a better job than LSU, if you're asking me right now.
Don't you think? I don't know about a decade. Don't you think with that recruiting, that fertile recruiting base, that LSU would be able to get somebody good in there and then get this thing back on track?
But if there's no money for NIL, what good is that recruiting base?
Now, but wait, don't you think that because they're happy they fired Kelly, maybe the people with the money will put money in to get the new thing? Because they're like, okay, you listen to us. Or did they spend all the money to get him fired?
Right. That's what did they just spend all the money to get him fired?
Yeah.
Like, where's this money? Like, they're going to, I mean, obviously they're going to rebuild. They probably get a good, like, see, this is what bothers me about it is I liked LSU before. I was never like, when it was LSU versus Alabama, I rooted for LSU. When it was LSU versus Florida, I rooted for LSU. Yeah. I always liked LSU. And I like the idea that I get to go back cheering for LSU now. But it's I don't know, it's pretty bad down there. There's no money. And I don't know how the athletic director keeps his job. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he does it. That guy is responsible for the 2 largest buyouts in college football history. $130 million are being paid to 2 people who don't coach.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Did you see all the things of saying LSU should go after Freeman now and do the Notre Dame pipeline again? I've been seeing those articles already. Go to that Notre Dame pipeline again.
That's trolling. I think there's 2 things I'm going to gain out of this. I don't have to talk about Brian Kelly anymore.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I don't have to. We were right. We have always been right. We always knew we were right. Like, this is one of those things that you just knew you were right from the start. Yeah. And you knew exactly, and it just took 4 years to prove it, but it was worth it. I don't feel bad for Brian Kelly. I had some people saying, man, you're celebrating a guy losing his job. I'm not. The guy's getting paid $54 million not to coach. I don't care. I don't care about him losing his job. That don't come at me with that stuff. That is awful. To be like, oh, that no, shut up. So yeah, I don't have to talk about him anymore. We've been vindicated on that front, and now I don't have to go and watch an LSU podcast ever again.
Yeah, that was the only reason. That was the only reason. Yeah, it was. I'm with you, and I'll enjoy LSU culture again when they get it built back up.
For sure.
I always enjoyed LSU football culture. I thought it was great. I just couldn't handle those.
SBF is in here and he's mad, and like, I get it. I was mad when Brian Kelly was the coach of Notre Dame. So I totally get why you're mad and what he's done to your program and the culture. I totally, and it's just, you're lashing out at us. I mean, whatever. But dude, I am all for LSU. I hope LSU is a great program again. And I hope the damage that Brian Kelly has done to it is not lasting. And then the final thing I'll add before I jump, John, is that I don't think I don't think Kelly takes another job. I think he goes to media. He is, as you say, like a job like Wisconsin or Nebraska or Boston, they're below him in his mind. Yeah. That's the thing. In his mind, those jobs are below him. He's not going to get Florida. He wouldn't even get Ole Miss. He's not going to get Penn State. He is not in for those jobs. He is not considered for those jobs. So he's not going to get them. I don't think he wants to get them. I think he's poison to the NFL right now as well. I think he's poison everywhere, especially the way this ended with him snapping at reporters and screaming at his assistants and coaches on the sideline. This just went down bad, flaming dumpster bad. So he's the only jobs that would consider him are a Michigan State or a Boston College or Wisconsin, and he's not going to take those. Nope. And therefore, the only thing that's left for him is media. And I think that's probably what he wants. Dude looked worn out.
Yeah.
Worn out.
Yeah. So. It's been a really interesting development. It's just good to be right on this one. And I'm with you. What a joy to just not have to hate watch him every week now. Yep. Like I can go back to watching football like a normal person and not hate watching this team just wanting him to fail. Like it's going to be a breath of fresh air. Sure. Pat, thanks for hopping in on a Monday morning. And I figured you'd have a lot to say. Yep. Have a good one, buddy. Thank you. Oh man. All right. I'm going to push back a little bit. I think the right guy could get LSU back on track pretty quick. I think the right guy, if you get the media, the fan base, the donors behind you, and you do a good job recruiting real quick and hitting the portal, I think you could get this back on track pretty soon with the right guy. I believe that. If they didn't have that recruiting base and all that talent right in that 300-mile geographic radius, I might think different. If you get the right guy and the right energy, I think they could build this back up pretty quick. Pat's saying probably true if there is the money. A part of me feels like they'll come up with the money. I feel like they'll come up with the money. So I don't know. But man, what a fall. Before I get to the rest of you guys, if you're on hold, you're going to be on the air. Let's do this super chat before I forget. $10 solely. I'm starting to think Freeman would not even leave for the Ohio State job. I also wanted to say karma is a B. And they got Brian Kelly to go retire with your $50 million and shut up. Yeah, I give Preston credit over at Tiger Bait. Mike over at Tiger Bait is really going through some stuff. He's struggling. Did you hear before the Vanderbilt postgame show? He didn't know they were live yet. And he screamed the F word as loud as possible. And then Preston was like, Mike, we're live. And he threw a big old F-bomb out to start with this huge crowd before he knew he was on the air. It's rough over there. But Preston at least has kind of admitted he was wrong. And he gave reasons why he thought it was going to work with Brian Kelly. He is at least kind of admitted they were wrong. $10 holler, my main man. Swamp Thing has gone down. I repeat, Swamp Thing has gone down. They thought they were going to jump Johnny on Rufino show. Then came the Calvary. Big ups, AI family. Don't mess with the Irish. We were heavily represented in those chats all night. All night. So, yeah, ESPN right now, if they want Freeman to get that job, I'll believe it when I see it. It would be, you know what? Man, LSU really would win the overall war if they were able to do that. I think Freeman wants to get a title at Notre Dame. I don't know what happens after that, but I think Freeman wants to get a title at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame knows what they have in Freeman, and they're going to do everything in their power to match whatever money or give whatever resources Freeman needs to stay and get this thing over the hump. What happens after that, I don't know. But I genuinely think Notre Dame knows what they have, and they're going to do everything they can to make him happy and win this title here, and then go do something else. LSU can't even pay Freeman. Well, if they can't pay Freeman, what other top guy can they pay? Like, that had to be a part of this equation. If Kelly's leaving, then like you can't boot Kelly out, then hire a low-level guy, know what, that you could pay $2 million a year or whatever. Somebody's got, whoever the next guy is, you're going to have to pay a boatload of money if you want to get this thing right. So I don't know what they're going to do, but like the money thing, they couldn't just think about the getting rid of Kelly part. You had to think about what comes next too. They're going to have to pay money. I'm going to say this, then we'll go back to the chat or your calls. I'm going to throw this out here. This is making me uncomfortable. The absolute most Notre Dame-iest thing that could possibly happen right now is for me to run my mouth all weekend about LSU and Kelly failing, and we lay an egg against a one-win Boston College team. I'm throwing that out in the ether. I'm throwing that out in the ether just to get it out. I know what I say has no effect on how the team plays or their focus level or anything else. All I'm saying is the most Notre Dame-iest thing in the world is for all of us to take a victory lap and run our mouths all over town and the internet to go lay an egg against BC. I'm just saying it's on my radar. So I know what I say doesn't have anything to do with what the team's thinking about. But when there's a disconnect between what I'm covering and where the team's at, that's where I get a little nervous of like, are we getting off course here? Are we getting a little off course? I'm just saying, you better make sure that doesn't happen after all of us have been running our mouths nonstop. You lay an egg against a one-loss team that you have a bad history with of ruining your season, and you're out of the playoffs. So I'm just throwing that out there. So you got a game to win, and at some point this week, we're going to have to turn this thing towards that. Like, I am going to look forward to being able to turn this thing over and get it back on track with Notre Dame. It is a big relief to not have to hate watch LSU anymore. Opens up a lot of my Saturdays and a lot of my energy. I really appreciate it. Chicago's very own. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Johnny boy. Wow, what a weekend, huh? Goodness.
For a bye week, a lot going on in a bye week, man. What do you make of it all?
Well, it's interesting. So listening to all the Notre Dame media yesterday and this morning and reading the chat and the Patreon and everything, people start playing connect the dots and trying to play coach bingo. Where are these coaches going to go? And who's right fit for the job and all that stuff. And it's like, I think we're going to see a lot of mid-tier coaches get some big jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at coaches like Thomas Hammock up at NIU, he's a fantastic coach, and he's really a fundamental teacher. I've heard the man speak a couple of times. I heard him speak at a coach's clinic before the season started. I'll tell you what, that's the kind of guy that you would elevate to a mid-tier job. He could probably even step in at LSU. You know who else could step in at LSU? The offensive coordinator from Alabama, Ryan Grubbs, and Mike Locksley, the head coach at Maryland. That guy can flat out coach. So these guys are not, tier one names by any stretch of the imagination. And LSU's in a little bit of a crunch, right? Money wise. They're going to have to reach in. And this is what really bothers me. This started in 2020 when Michigan State went ahead and signed that 10-year, $95 million contract to Mel bleeping Tucker. Really? And it's these guaranteed contracts. Now, these are land grant state universities. How do you justify that kind of money and that long-term guaranteed contract? The most a coach should get is tops 6 years. And then we'll renegotiate in year 5 if things are going well. And then we'll do a multi-year contract thereafter. Because this bullshit of laying out all this money, these board of trustees and these chancellors and presidents of these, especially these state universities, I get it. I understand. Look how much money Texas A&M has raised in the last couple of years. I think they're the richest. And obviously they've got oil men in their alumni. They could kick in a lot of money. And actually, so could LSU if they really wanted to. There's oil money down in Louisiana. People forget. It's just not the asshole of the world. So, there's got to be a governor put on this. So when you take a guy like Brian Kelly, which was a round peg in a square hole, baby, or vice versa. That guy, I mean, it reminds me of an old joke from George Gobel on the Tonight Show. Did you ever think you were the whole world was a tuxedo and you were a brown pair of shoes? That's Brian Kelly in LSU. And, where's he going to go? I think he's so dislikable that he won't even get a media job. That's how much people dislike that guy.
Now, okay, let me bring this up, Tom. A part of me thinks that his unlikable nature may be really suited for TV to mix it up, have strong opinions people are going to disagree with, have his little ego and his little thing. I could see him being a lightning rod on a set somewhere.
Yeah,
because,
maybe. Maybe. Yeah, but I don't think he's going to go to Fox. I don't think he would go to the big, the Fox show or ESPN. He'd probably wind up on CBS, or it wouldn't be poetic justice if he wound up on the ACC network.
Yeah.
You know he's not going to wind up on the SEC network.
Yeah.
So
now,
whatever.
Tom,
I'm not worried about him. He's got 50, the big buyout.
Are you a little surprised LSU moved on this? Because, I know it was. Here's the deal, Tom. James Franklin and Brian Kelly both set their own falls up. They both ran their mouths about best team I ever had. We spent all this money. Brian Kelly, we're taking receipts. We'll see you at the championship. Brian Kelly put in his own money, and they spent $18 million on to get the #1 portal class. Pay Nussmeier to come back. It was all, they let it be known it's all in on this year. Franklin did that, went out on the ledge. Kelly did that and went out on the ledge. Both of those guys built the expectation this year really high. They went out of their way to do it. And when you fall short and you could play your own words building it up, you didn't help your own case. Both of those guys did that. Both of them.
I'll tell you what, I think where a guy like Brian Kelly and Franklin fall short is the smoke and mirrors aspect of it. They're going to talk all that stuff. They're not. At one time, Brian Kelly was a pretty good football coach, X's and O's, but he screwed up every quarterback I've ever seen him touch.
Yeah.
Right. So for him to go out and make those claims and not have the fundamentals of a program, him being that CEO. Look, I'm going to tell a story out of school. I've met Brian Kelly twice. I had the opportunity to talk to him after, or actually before the St. Patrick's Day parade in Chicago. They made him the Grand Marshal, and they have a mass at Old St. Pat's that kicks off the parade, right? I was talking to him. I got introduced to him by the pastor because Father Hurley says, Coach, this is Tom Frolley, the world's greatest Notre Dame fan. And he's like, yeah, hi, how you doing? And he gave me the wet fish handshake. It's like, I knew right then and there, he is a stroke beyond a stroke. And he's one of those guys that looks over your head to see who else is around in the room. There's nothing authentic about that prick. So I could imagine every player that, and the stories about not letting those national championship LSU players into the program, that's probably very true. He alienated Joe Montana, Terry Hanratty. I mean, God, Terry Hanratty's kid played for him. And how do you alienate Notre Dame luminaries? That's the kind of stroke he is. So he deserves what he gets. And he's a con artist. He got all the money, and LSU is unfortunately having to pay that guy. It's ridiculous. I'm glad he's gone. I hope we never see him again. I really do. I just, bye-bye, Brian. Take your $50 million and take a sneak and bring the chef from LSU with you, because you're going to feed your fat ass the rest of your life.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's, and I know other people, Notre Dame clubs, alumni clubs that had run-ins with him, and he's just not authentic. He's abrasive, bye-bye. So I just don't, going forward, college football really needs to clean itself up in a lot of ways. They've got to figure out a governor for the NIL, the portal, and, stop giving these coaches these long-term guaranteed contracts. They're not worth it. You know who was worth it? Maybe Saban was.
Yeah.
And nobody else. And nobody else in the modern era. Maybe Urban Meyer, if he was, legit the whole time. He could really coach. But I don't see anybody else on the landscape that's worth that kind of money. I really don't.
They got to rethink those guaranteed 10-year deals.
Absolutely.
And I know they feel like that's the only way you could pull a guy from where he's at and get him to want to leave or whatever. But they got to really rethink that whole thing. Tom, anything else, buddy? I appreciate the vitriol on a Monday morning.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, it's Vatican Bowl week, right? The Congregation of the Holy Cross against the Jesuits. We can't take those guys lightly. I watched them play Louisville last night, Saturday night. They showed up. That defense showed up. Now they're operating with that second string quarterback. He played pretty well. I think Louisville was kind of overlooking Boston College, but those kids will punch you in the mouth. And this is their Super Bowl, right? The Vatican Bowl. So, Notre Dame's got to take care of business this week. I don't believe they're overlooking Boston College. They're not looking at their record. This is a take care of business Saturday, and punch them in the mouth and overwhelmingly cover the spread to send a message to the nation that Notre Dame's not screwing around.
I like it, Tom. I like it. Hey, we'll see you on Monday Night Raw.
Amen, brother. Take care. Go Irish.
Tom. Oh, man. Tom is so Chicago-y. I just love it. It is beautiful. Dr. John has been saying we got to get back to worrying about our own playoff chances and all this. Listen, if Notre Dame goes 10-2 and they miss this playoff, they have nobody to blame but themselves for mostly the A&M game. If you really think about it, I said it before, I'll say it again. Miami earned that win, played a really solid, good game, and deserved that win. We gave it away against A&M, a team that's now being pumped up as a national title contender, and you couldn't kick an extra point and defend a 4th and 19. I know there was holding and all this stuff, but you shouldn't give up 40-something in your home building to anybody. If we go 10-2 and we don't make it, it's our own damn fault. You should have beat A&M in your building. And you didn't even have to play great defense. If you played half-ass defense, Notre Dame has one loss at the most. Half-ass defense. Not even great, not even elite, not even what we're used to. No. If you played halfway decent defense, Notre Dame's undefeated or has one loss. If you go 10-2 and you don't make it, it's your own damn fault because you let what happened against A&M happen. I'll give Miami credit on that one. But A&M's the one that was just totally unacceptable to me. And now they're getting credit for being like a national title tending. It didn't look like it against us. We just played worse. So I don't know. And so if you miss it at 10-2, you have nobody to blame but yourself. And again, it's a case of you only have 12 of these, and each one is so valuable. You cannot afford, if you're a Notre Dame, to throw one out. And you threw one out against A&M. Completely unacceptable result. And I know you could say, look at Notre Dame, the last 10 games, they're very different than they were in the first 2 or whatever. Sorry, man. It's all one season. You don't get to separate it out into the 10 where you figured out how to play defense and the 2 you didn't. You could play the exact same game as bad as you were on defense in those first 2. And if our defenders catch balls thrown right to them, Notre Dame's undefeated. You could play overall just as bad as we did. The only difference is one guy in each of those games catches a defender, catches a ball thrown right to him. Notre Dame's undefeated. Like, this is the razor's edge of college football. And it's really upsetting. But if you go 10-2 and you're on the outside, you have nobody to blame but yourself. I'm sorry. So I don't know how it's all going to work out. Who's going to come and win and lose and move up? I don't know. But man, if you lose, you're going to look at that A&M game, and that's going to be one that you circled. And so I don't know. It is what it is. And we're going to have to see. Tell me if I'm wrong. Is the first playoff thing tomorrow? Am I wrong about that? In all of this, everything going on, I've missed it. Is the first announcement for the playoff tomorrow, and you'll figure out where you fall or whatever. So I don't know, you guys. But if you miss it, look right back at that A&M game. I give Miami credit for what they did, but you handed that one to them. Irish Cole, what's up, buddy? I cannot hear you. Technical difficulties. You were talking, but I couldn't hear a damn word you were saying, bro. I'll come back to you. Everything's working. I just couldn't hear you. Mark, what's up, buddy?
Am I okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I predicted LSU would lose and then lose the following game to Alabama, and then be 5-4, and then the buyout wouldn't matter because the wheels were off. I don't think LSU fired Kelly necessarily because of that loss. I think it was the 35 unanswered points where it just felt like the end of the season, end of the line. And then, that was over for him. Like, we watched it in real time. And I go back to that reporter a few weeks ago that said, asked him why they weren't able to rush the ball, and he freaked out. He went on that rant. And, I looked it up. They're 118th in the country in rushing and 133 in rushing attempts. That guy had his head in the clouds, and somebody beat me to this. I was gonna do this, but anyway, I want to talk about Notre Dame
creativity. The new format allows for a lot of creativity. It's a little risky, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about Notre Dame, the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be a nice change of pace, by the way, Mark. And let me add one thing in, Mark. Tell me if you agree with this, and then we'll move on to Notre Dame, which I'm excited to talk about, by the way. I agree with Pat. The problem with Kelly at LSU started with culture. Culture clash, not the right fit, doesn't understand that fan base and all of it. Like, I believe that was the foundational thing that then cracked and started leaking into all these other areas because he was never a culture fit there to begin with. And over time, when you don't win some games and you have that piece, these little crevices in your basement floor up here, and then they crack bigger and it causes more. I am convinced the culture issue was the foundational problem at LSU with Brian Kelly. And the other stuff is all a result of that. Do you agree? I firmly believe that.
Yeah, and I think Goolsby nailed it last night about just like his interactions with his players. And there's a bunch of videos of him and Nussmeier after plays, and it looked like they were about to start swinging on each other. And I really want to hear from that guy because it looked like there was a lot of weird stuff going on. One of the there's like somebody that has like a compilation of the videos that, when he was coming off the field, and it looked like very toxic, like who wants to play for that guy. But yeah, he's a jackass. But talking about Notre Dame, for as good a job as Freeman has done, his biggest issue is the occasional inexcusable loss. NIU, Marshall, the 4-4 Clemson game,
Stanford.
If we lose any of the five remaining games, I think it's equally bad, if not more, because we're kind of further removed from that. And I actually have a chart that I made. I'm going to hold this chart up. All right. Where am I? All right. Can you see my chart?
Yeah, up a little bit more. There we go. We got it all in the frame. There you are.
Okay, our next two games, Boston College and Navy, have 0 Power 4 wins. Navy has beat VMI, UAB, FAV, Little Sisters of the Poor. Boston College is one of the worst teams in the country. 7 straight losses. Their one win was against Fordham. And, you know, I mean, like one thing that would be funny about Navy if they end up getting the group of 5 playoff berth and we end up having 3 playoff teams on our schedule, but you know, we'd have a quarter of the bracket on our schedule. Syracuse and Stanford stink. They're both 3 and 5 at the bottom of the ACC. Pitt is somewhat interesting. They're 6 and 2. They have a bye week to prepare, but you know, I'm looking through a playoff caliber lens, so I think we beat their ass.
Now the question is, did you have your notes on the back of that? So you were looking right at it? Yeah, baby, you're thinking now.
I got post-it notes all over.
Oh God,
look how bad Boston College defense is.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Okay, now wait, Mark. Here, now let me ask you this question, and it's a key thing coming up. Do you believe 10-2 Notre Dame is in the field regardless of other outcomes, or do you think Notre Dame's going to be sitting there and need some help and catch a break or two? There is a divide. I see a lot of people saying 10-2 Notre Dame's in no matter what. They'll figure out a way to put Notre Dame in. And there's other people doing the math and going, look at who plays who. If they all end up with 1 loss or whatever, Miami with 2, they're in ahead of you. What do you do? What do you think?
Well, that's why you gotta the final score is gonna matter. Like you gotta run it up. You see what Signetti just did. He's worried about it. All these coaches need to be worried about it. The final score is gonna matter, especially when they're splitting hairs. I think I don't remember, like 11 1-loss teams. I don't know how many 2-loss teams that are all going to be like compared to. So, you know, I think what is going to line up perfectly is kind of what we should be trying to do with, particularly with Jeremiah Love and CJ Carr. Jeremiah Love's that, kind of underwhelming statistic wise, but I think the last 5 games last year, he scored 10 touchdowns. We've got 5 games remaining. I think they need to make a concerted effort to get him the Dokes Award and get him in New York. And, you know, he's 670 yards away from setting the single season record, which is like 136 yards a game. A couple of these defenses are complete ass. So yeah, I think that's doable. And so, you know, and I'll go as far as saying if he has a couple games where he puts up big numbers, Jeremiah Love needs to strike the Heisman pose. And I know WPP is going to suspend him another game, but I think go a long way, and like he really should do it.
That's really interesting. You know what else is interesting, Mark? Multiple people in the chat want to know if you have a flat screen TV attached to your closet door.
No, this is on a.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
That's not a thing.
Nice.
I'm waiting to take over the other.
Hashtag mobile Mark. And by the way, I like that you got the Indiana flag too in the backdrop. I like that.
The what?
The playoff game flag, right? Isn't that?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean the playoff rankings come out the Monday or Tuesday following this Boston College game. So pour it on, like run up the score, keep the starters in, make that good impression before they kind of get in that room. And I think, pile up the stats, let's get Love 1,500 yards. I think Carr getting 3,000 yards would be huge. But yeah, that's what I'm focused on is, we're in this playoff run. And then last thing, shout out to Jared Clark. 3 district titles in a row, back to back to back. And this guy's moonlighting on Patreon doing film breakdowns.
Yeah. He's doing
But
a really
impressive dude.
It's so wonderful to see one of our Notre Dame guys down in Florida succeeding in those ultra competitive high school leagues. He's putting guys into college, putting guys into NFL, bringing guys to Notre Dame with Elijah Golden. And he's one of our guys, and he does the film for us on Patreon till like 2 a.m. on these nights. Jared Clark is a real one. He knows offense football. Great dude. Really lucky to have him a part of the Patreon. Mark, thanks for the graphics. And I'm sure we'll see you on Monday Night Raw, buddy.
All right. See you later.
Hold on. I'm time-stamping this so I can cut it up later and highlight your artistic skills here.
That's grand.
Mark, God bless you. I'll see you on Raw, buddy. Irish Cole, let's try it again. What's up, brother? Son of a buck! I can't hear you, and I know it's your end because I can hear everybody else. Rodney,
it gets
what's
me
up?
Hey, buddy, what's up, John?
What's going on? Dude, whatever that is your avatar is scaring me on a Monday morning, bro.
Well, we're getting close to Halloween. I didn't know if I called him before that, so I had to put in that was like me from like 5 years ago, something like that at a Halloween party.
Dude,
in South Bend.
I'm going to have nightmares, bro. I'm going to wake up and see that green hair and that smile sitting over me in the middle of the night, bro.
John, you know how like nightmares, sometimes they'll take a few fragments of different things and kind of combine them together. It's Kelly's face with that Joker makeup, and that's going to be in your nightmares tonight, man.
Bro. Hey, Rodney, what do you make of this? I would like to know what you make of the LSU Kelly situation, and I want to know what you think of Notre Dame's playoff chances. What do you make of both of those topics?
Yeah, man, that's like exactly what I want to talk about. John, God, the Kelly thing was so fascinating to me. I thought about it a lot more than I thought I would, man. And I don't even know why, John. It's not even negative or positive per se. It's just, I just would really cook a deep dive thinking about Kelly and thinking about his personality and thinking about what kind of a coach he is. And what I agree with you 100%, John. The 3 schools I threw out there at the beginning, Pittsburgh, Wisconsin, and I just wrote down Wisconsin, Pittsburgh, and Michigan State, I think are fantastic fits for Brian Kelly because they're programs that, they have some tradition, but they've been down, right? Kelly's really good at bringing a program that's down up to like respectability, solid, even top 10-ish status. Kelly is not good for whatever reason, bringing programs that are there and taking them to the next level, or even if he gets them there, he can't do that.
Rodney, I believe Kelly's ego will not allow him to take what is perceived as a lower level mid-tier job like Michigan State or Wisconsin. He doesn't want to have to build that all. Those are in his mind, those are too small of jobs for him. I never see him taking what is perceived to be a step down from Notre Dame or LSU. I don't see him doing that.
And so getting back to what I said right away, I 100% agree. I'm literally saying what he should do if his ego wouldn't get in the way. And you're right. His ego would absolutely get in the way. And I'm just saying,
I could argue what he should do. Never work another day in your life and golf every day till you die with $53 million extra dollars you don't have to work for. That's what he should do. Go with Jimbo Fisher and James Franklin and start a golf league.
Right. But John, then it kind of contradicts what you just said. His ego won't allow it because he'll have to prove.
Good, Rodney. Really good point. I was thinking about that last night. Will his ego allow him to say, you know what, I don't need to do the coaching thing anymore. I was a pretty good coach. I did a lot of good things. He did build Notre Dame up when they were in a bad spot when he got the job. Like, he's had a really solid career. He doesn't have that it factor to get it over the hump. I just don't think, I don't know if his ego will allow him to realize he doesn't have to do this anymore.
Yeah. And so again, John, it's going to be fascinating. Here's what I will say. I think we'll see him the next few years. I think it is very possible he takes this next year off and does just do what you just said. I think that is very realistic. But then after that, he'll want to prove that, he's still a good coach or whatever. And God bless him. Maybe something happens this year that humbles him. I'm just saying, I pray for Kelly that happens, because I actually think the guy's a very talented coach. He's a very talented coach. The problem is his personality gets him in the way of being better. That's where it's strange to say that I feel sorry for him, because I really don't. But I feel bad for him that Brian Kelly can't fix Brian Kelly, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, maybe he takes a year off. I actually think he might be really good in media. I actually do. I think Kelly could be a little awkward with that, but I think he could figure it out, because I think, again, he has kind of a natural talent at, when he's in the zone. Kelly can be pretty cool to listen to. I mean, the problem is those bad moments really overshadow that. But Kelly, most of the time, was actually pretty good in media situations. I think he'd be pretty good on TV, to be honest, or the NFL, John. I think the NFL, okay, maybe I'm not fit for, maybe my destiny's the NFL. So I could see that too.
Yeah. A part of me thinks that if you're on hold, you're going to be on the air, by the way, you guys. And here's the link again, if you want to join. I could see it being interesting on media, because he's such a polarizing character in the sport.
Yeah.
That would enable people to get to know him, but without the allegiance of like for my team or against my team. When he's out of that, and it's just more about him, I think people might actually want to hear more of what he said, because he's so polarizing. I could
hey, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, John. I'm going to be honest with you, John. There were some moments when Kelly would be called out by the fan base or the media, like the podcasters, yourself even included. And I'm not saying you guys were wrong, where he would get mad at something and call someone. But I will say the one thing I liked about it is that it was real. And I'm like, I actually kind of like you're just faking it. You know what I mean? There was a part of me that appreciated that there is some fire in Kelly. He's not just some, Ty Willingham or I don't know. Again, it was all misplaced and everything. I get it. I'm just saying, like, I think it'd be very interesting for him to go into media for a year. I don't know why I'm going into this so much. There's something fascinating about Kelly. I don't know what it is, but like, I thought about this a lot more than I thought I would. I think a year or two in media would be great for him. And then maybe he stays in and becomes this, whatever. And then he probably then goes back into coaching. God bless him. I hope he figures it out. I really do. I hope Kelly is successful one day at something. I mean, like, whatever. We can move on to the playoffs now, but I'm just saying, like, I think media for a year or two.
One more question, then we'll get to Notre Dame. Do you think, if whatever you perceive as a top tier job that may open, whether you qualify that as Florida, Penn State, Florida State, whatever may come open, like the top tier of it, do you think that Kelly's still appealing to those top tier jobs, or has the LSU experience minimized his appeal as like a top guy you would bring into what's perceived as a higher level job? I honestly don't have the answer of how he's being perceived. Maybe it's just like he's not an LSU SEC culture fit, but he could do better in the ACC at Florida State or in the Big Ten at Penn State. Is he that appealing still as a top level coach? I don't have that answer, but I'm wondering.
Yeah, I truly believe he is not viewed that way right now. I don't think. Why would Penn State fire Franklin and then hire the clone of Franklin in a lot of ways? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me. But I do think, strangely enough, having said that, if Kelly could get out of his own way, Kelly could run a really rock solid top 5 program.
Yeah.
I mean that. If he could get out of his own way, I mean, I think he's actually a good fit at Penn State, but it's not going to happen because right now it's like no one's going to want to see, a fan base is never going to want to see, we spent this much money to take the guy that we're going to just do this to again. So it would never work. Again, man, I just think he wouldn't do it. But John, Pittsburgh or Michigan, I just bring up those names. I think those are the jobs that for whatever reason he would fit best at. And those 3 came to me. But Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Pittsburgh, I think would be great jobs for Kelly.
You know what I don't
Or Boston College.
those are all below him. I don't think he'll ever
I
do
know
it.
that. I know. But John, also, I'm just saying, if he did, he could. I think he would get that program doing well. I really do. I think Kelly's really good at that. There's something missing from top 10 and up. He just can't. But yeah.
I just man, here's what's in my mind. I think, Rodney, this may be a thing where if he steps away from coaching, I think he's done coaching. I think this is one of those things when you're in your
rhythm. This could be like a Lee Corso thing, man. He could be like the next, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's going to happen to him. He's going to become that kind, an icon. But I actually think Kelly could be really good in media. He's got those awkward moments, but generally he's pretty good in that side. I kind of agree with you, John. I could totally see that happening. That he's just goes into media, and he's in media for the rest of his career, and he does maybe really well. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. But I got a feeling, man, once you get out of the rhythm of the chaos of the college football schedule and recruiting and everything, it's hard to get back into it. I sincerely think if he doesn't go right into another coaching job, I think he'll be done.
But he's not going away, John. He's not going away because his ego won't allow it. You're not going to just see him disappear and go quiet and become this, go on this philosophical journey. I think it'd be best for him, but I don't think he's doing that.
Rodney,
probably be
at 64 years old with the money he has, the last thing he's thinking about is, you know what, I need to change. You know what I mean?
But I mean, that's probably what would do him best, to be quite fair. I mean, I think he probably just needs to. That's what I'm saying. It's Brian Kelly's problem is Brian Kelly. He's got the talent. I'm being very fair here, John. There are moments I actually really liked him. Sometimes those honest moments, I liked them the best. Because I'm like, damn it, I want to see the fire. I mean, I never got as upset at it as some people did when it came to that. But there's no question that the guy, whatever, we've already said enough about him, but he's a con artist. He just is. That's his heart, and he's got to get past that for his own good.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be really interesting, but I'll tell you what, it filled the void of Notre Dame having an off week. Rodney, on to Notre Dame. What do you make of the rest of the schedule? You have 5 games left. Notre Dame's going to be favored heavily in all of them. Chris, by the way, H103. You've had a few comments in a row that I want to address. I've highlighted them.
I'm glad you. Address this, John, because I agree with you. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that in a second here, so I'm gonna address those. But Rodney, you got 5 games you're going to be favored to win. You should win. Do you think 10-2 Notre Dame is in no matter what, or do you need help?
As I said before, John, 99% 10-2 Notre Dame is in. However, there's something weird going. A lot of teams are losing, but it's sort of framing itself in such a way where you could, if Notre Dame has 2 or 3 games where they barely win and they're stinkers, I could see Notre Dame get left out if they play, but I don't see that happening because I don't think that's Freeman's MO. I think they're only going to play better. There could be one in there. Don't get me wrong. There could be one when they don't play their best and they get to, scrape it out. Or maybe win, by 7 or 10 as opposed to 20 or 30. But I think probably what's going to happen is Notre Dame's going to just become more of the team we saw them do last year and ascend really high. And I just can't see a team looking like that with that pedigree, with the tradition, with what they did last year in the playoffs. And also, Freeman don't get his ass kicked. That's another thing, man. I want to Kelly just gets his ass kicked, man. It's dude, there's something wrong there. What's going on? I just have to throw that in there. And so Notre Dame won't embarrass itself. I mean, again, when they do, it's early in the year when they lose the teams they shouldn't, or they play like crap and it's completely uncharacteristic. They seem to get better as the year goes on. Now we're going to see it in real time again in his 4th year. 5 games left. You had a week off. Perfect time to have it. So oh my God, John, I just can't see that happening. But I did do some scenarios in my head, and I'm like, if they don't play well and Vanderbilt's right there with them, man, I'm like, God, how can I would feel bad going against Vandy if that was the situation, right? And then who else? Indiana, if they lose in the Big Ten championship or something, and I don't see them they'll be high anyway because they're undefeated. They'll probably have an undefeated regular season. So John, it's really hard for me to see Notre Dame being ahead of a certain team and then we're seeing Notre Dame ascend as a team, forget who they're playing, score of the game, rank of the opponent. But if they're just ascending and they look like that, and then if Love continues to play like him and Price, and you got a Heisman, I just can't see those elements coming together. And you as the bias within a human being, it's not just about this team, that team. I'm favoring this team because they're my team, and I don't like that. It's also like there's an adrenaline to watching a certain team play, and Notre Dame looks like a spotlight team. Let's just be real. I mean, they're one of them. I'm not saying there's not others, but it's a team you're going to want to see in the playoffs. And I have a hard time believing at 10-2, winning 10 in a row, playing high flying. If we continue to play that way, a Notre Dame team being let out, and even you, John, you said, "Oh, you should have won that A&M game." You're right, they should have. But damn it, dude, 10 games in a row. If that happens, and we're flying high and we're playing lights out, I just don't see how you can leave them out. That's all.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. All you can do is go 10-2 and force the committee to get up there and say Notre Dame team on a 10-game winning streak isn't playing the best 12 of brands of football out right now. Like,
but let me say that, but John, can I say this too?
Force that issue is make them get up there and say a 10 win in a row Notre Dame team isn't one of the 12 best right now. Force them to make that decision.
And if that happens, I'll say this, like, yes, the A&M game aside or whatever, but like, I'm going to be really proud of this 10-2 team. It's not going to be a team I'm going to look bad upon. I'm like, okay, this is probably, if that scenario plays out, and we're just playing great, and for some reason we're left out, I will say, like, this is a team that we're going to all look at as maybe one of the best 10-2 teams that's ever played. You know what I mean? Like, because are you telling me that version of what we're seeing ascend right now where they're at, I'd be very, very, boy, that would break my heart as a fan of football to not see this team be able to see what they can do in the playoffs. Agreed?
Yeah, it's what would keep me up at night if we missed the playoff at 10.
Brian Kelly's face has with that makeup.
What would really bother me forever is not making the playoff with Love and Price in this year. It is what you have going on in Notre Dame now with those two running backs is so rare and elite. You're probably never going to have that kind of 1-2 punch again. It would be a huge disappointment to end up with those, not seeing what those guys could do in the playoff. That part would bother me because you're not going to see what we have going again.
Yeah, and again, John, I agree. It's like it's just weird. This season's fascinating. I mean, my God, college football, it's so weird how you can't necessarily predict what's going to happen. A lot of people thought when this NIL thing came and transfer portal and collective bargaining that's going to ruin college football. For some reason, it hasn't. Some reason, it hasn't. It's fascinating, John. And I mean, this parity, it's more than I thought. John, I think right now, here's the last thing I'll say before I go. I would have shamed myself for saying this. I don't want no 20-24 team playoff. But I will say I think a 16-team playoff is probably now the one that I think looks the best right now. I think that's probably the best way to do it. What we're seeing over the last couple of years, I actually think a 16-team playoff is where we should be. I would never have said that a year ago, 2 years ago. But yeah, I don't want to say any more, but I'm just saying, like, there are going to be 2 or 3 teams left out that I want to see in the playoffs. Whether that's Notre Dame or Vandy or I keep forgetting that third team. I don't know who I'm trying to think of. But anyway, you get the point.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I read an article yesterday. The 20-team playoff is building momentum. It's like, geez,
I can't see that. I guess there's a way you can incorporate it, John. I guess there's a way. I was thinking about this. There is a way where you can make, that whole thing in the big, like a playing game in the Big Ten, playing game in the SEC. Oh, that could be kind of interesting. And then maybe a game for Notre Dame if they're out, like let's say they're on the outside, or an independent, that has a chance to play, like, I don't know, the champion of the 5, you know what I'm talking about, the under schools, not the under schools, the under 5, whatever it is, and play that team, the champion of that team, and that team moves forward into playoffs. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of interesting. I guess there's a scenario I could see that, but to me, it's 16.
Yeah, it's I don't know. That seems like maybe the furthest you could go without really, really stretching it. And then
I agree. Yeah.
You could be able to be like, everybody really has a genuine chance at a title year is in the net at 16. I don't think if you go to 20, you could say that.
I think 16 works, John, right now. I really do. And again, I would not have said that 2 years ago at all. I'm like, no, I think it actually, for what college football is right now. Now, again, you reconfigure a few years, things could change. And now it looks more like, okay, this particular amount of teams is appropriate. But I just think, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's weird that we all are like fascinated with how college football's evolving, because it's not going the way I thought it would. And I mean, I'm happy because I'm fascinated every week.
Yeah. It's an interesting journey. This is going to be a wild 5-game ride till the end, Rodney. Hey, thanks for joining and creeping everyone out on a Monday morning.
All right, man. Happy Halloween, Irish fans.
Every time he laughs, the picture pulses. It like comes to life. I'm starting to get a little freaked out. See ya. Oh, that's hilarious, dude. It's hard to take him seriously when that's like the picture, bro. My main man, do you want to come on today or do you just want to listen? You don't have your mic up. Anybody want to jump on? Go ahead. There's the link. Yeah, I don't know who Big Mill is and who his team is. I've never seen that name before, and he's in there all mad. I don't know.
Big
main man. What's up, baby?
What's up, baby? Look, right here. All the time, baby. All the time. All the time.
I like it.
Hey, yeah. Hey, look, one thing that I just want to touch on with everybody, man, is that everybody gives Kelly all this credit about what he did at MD, and I don't want to really touch on it much anymore because I really can't stand that dude, man. I never thought he was a good hire. I always thought Notre Dame would go after Tony Dungy soon after they got fired fat ass Weiss. You know what I mean? Because Tony Dungy had just retired. I really thought that would be the case, but look, brother. A friend of mine that played at USC played linebacker during the junior tryout. They asked him, why didn't you start over Sagos? He was just that much better of an athlete, man. Okay, he says to me one time, I said, hey, we got one of the top recruiting guys in the country. He says, you guys always do. You guys always do. He said, what? He goes, dude, you guys got all these kids that go to all these Catholic schools, you know, that from the hood and stuff. And of course, they're going to want to choose. What parents not going to want to send this kid to a good school with good education? So you guys have no excuse not to be good. You guys just don't have a coach. And you know, any coach that has any type of winning percentage would have done what Kelly did as far as the new turf and all that. But not the right coach. Not the right coach. The one good thing he did was bring in Marcus Freeman to eventually take over his reign of terror. And I know I'll get pushback from the chat, man. I'll get pushback from the chat. But dude, I'm telling you, he was never the right guy. He was never the right man. He's not the main man. We have the main man now. His name is Marcus Freeman. Because just like Rodney said, my boy Rodney, he said straight up, hey, Marcus Freeman don't get his ass kicked. He may lose, but he doesn't get his ass kicked. You know what I mean? Here, John, let me get off camera for a minute. And but man, it's thank you, LSU fans. Thank you for taking him off our hands. Thank you for taking him away from Notre Dame. You know what I mean? Notre Dame was going to be Notre Dame without him, man. Which other guy came in? But the one good thing he did was bring in Marcus Freeman, man, to bring us into the new era and the new age of college football. I was against NIL for a while, man, like Rodney says. But the thing is, the one great thing about NIL, it levels out the playing field for everybody now. Everybody can openly pay the players. So, ¿qué pasó? ¿Cuántas quieres? Hold on. Hey, John. Go ahead, man. I'm just going to listen, brother. Hey, man, I love you guys. I'm going to Notre Dame. I don't
want to get you in trouble at work. Go ahead. All right. I want to address a couple of these. Adam, I see you. You're going to come up. Chris, do people not remember the Nick Saban pressers? Here's the difference. When you were an elite winner, you could get away with more. Period. End of story. It is that simple. When you are a proven elite championship, multiple championship winning level guy, you could do whatever you want. Kelly's never been that, but he carried himself like he was. That doesn't work. I've heard that before. How come nobody makes a big deal when Saban's yelling at everyone on the sideline and being mean to reporters? He is an elite winner. Elite winners get to do what they want to do. Elite winners get away with more. That is true in every business. Every business. Sales. The top sales guy gets to come in late. He gets to wear jeans. He gets to leave early, whatever. Why? He produces. Elite winners get away with more. That's just the way it is. So that's my argument with that. And then a couple more from him. Notre Dame's program was behind in every aspect of college football. Kelly pushed it to the next level. 100% accurate. That is correct. I'm keeping things in perspective. Genuinely confused why people don't respect what Kelly did at ND. Chris, my thing with it is he didn't treat people the right way. He didn't put the effort in that it took to recruit to get Notre Dame to the next level. And he was losing all those big games. That's 3 strikes and you're out, bro. So I can have respect that he built Notre Dame up when he first got the job from a program that was really far behind the times. I respect that he built that up and did a lot of grind work behind the scenes to do it. But later in his tenure, treated people poorly in the Notre Dame ecosystem. Donors, bad relationship with the admin, not wanting former players back at Notre Dame to be a part of all this stuff. You can't treat people bad, not try in recruiting. They couldn't get the guy to get on a plane and go recruit, and then not win your big games and then wonder why people are mad. That's what happened. So you could have respect for what the guy did to a certain point. But when I started getting messages saying, bro, they can't get this guy to fire up a jet and go recruit. I don't know where this is all headed. He just won't do it. When I start getting those messages behind the scenes, you're done, dude. You're done. So that's the framework I have of this dynamic. James, I got a question about this. John, please don't keep talking about Kelly. I never did or will ever forgive Kelly for blowing. I think he means don't stop talking about Kelly. I never did or will forgive him for blowing off my 89-year-old daughter up. If your daughter's 89, how old are you? 163? I'm not trying to be ageist, but if your daughter's 89, you got to be 150. Oh my God, that's funny. I'm assuming there's a typo or two in there, or that guy's 180 years old and he's figuring out how to do YouTube. Good for him. Oh, man. Okay, so this is an LSU guy. Your Notre Dame trolls live in our chat, so I'm paying you back. The lack of self-awareness that is going on right now is astounding. You have no credibility right now, and your entire ecosystem just got exposed. That is why we're invading all of your shows, because you guys were wrong. You lost. Your arrogance cost you $100 million. You have no leverage in this. Your side's proven wrong. Ours is proven right. You all let this man gaslight and lie to you for 3.5 years, and you all ate it up. You ate it up. You guys couldn't get enough. I follow all your YouTube people. Every week, I would log into YouTube and see, oh, Brian Kelly's at the podium, and then every show breaks down every word Kelly said. It took you guys 3.5 years to figure out you were being gaslit and lied to. That the guy was a politician speaking to you with a polished suit and no polished play. Blaming everyone else for every shortcoming except for himself. I don't have the resources. I need more NIL. I need more years. I need this. I need that, bro. And you all fell for it. You fell for it. So telling you, I really respect the LSU culture. And I hope you guys find somebody that will enable that to come back to life again. I'm telling you, I had a moment when they came back from that TV timeout in the third quarter, and the camera was zooming in on LSU Stadium at night, and it was 80% empty. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. This is one of the best venues in college football, one of the toughest places to play at night. Brian Kelly literally managed to ruin all of that culture in 3.5 years. He had that place emptied out in the middle of the third quarter. It's honestly unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So I don't know, man. It's hilarious to see the fall. It really is. So I don't know. Andrew says, my defense of BK was always about people respecting that he revived Notre Dame, and he certainly did that. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to work anymore. Once you've done it, doesn't mean you could golf instead of recruit and treat everybody like crap. Like, I could give him credit for that. But that doesn't mean you get to just coast from then on out because you built the program up from garbage. Once I started getting those messages behind the scenes, they cannot get this guy to go recruit. He just will not get on a plane and go do it. Like, you're done, man. How am I, as a diehard Notre Dame person, supposed to go to bed every night knowing my head coach is not doing everything in his power to get us closer to our goal? It was eating at me every single day, knowing the guy wasn't doing the work. And then you add treating everybody poorly on top of it. Then you add the big game record on top of it. And where are you left? Big Mill, dude, you guys have no credibility, man. Like, you're not in a position to be in here trolling anything, like, other than, and you know how you know times are bad for LSU? The only comeback any of them have is Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since '88. That's all they have. When you aren't optimistic about the present and the future, you default to the past. That's all you have. And that's the only comeback the LSU people had is 88, 88, 88. When you have no hope now or in the immediate future, you got to go to the past. That being said, it's definitely true. They've won a lot more titles than us since our last one. That's true. Look at this. This is good from Ryan Roberts. Really good. My favorite Tom Lemon quote of all time. Brian Kelly is great in the room. You could just never get him in the room. If the room was moved to a country club, it would probably be a lot different. So yeah, I don't know. It is who does LSU let run the program currently? What is that guy's name? I don't want to mispronounce his name. There's one guy, is there a Wilson, a Frank Wilson? There's one of these guys that's been on the staff for like decades or a long time that has a lot of respect, and he's an LSU guy. Either played or went to LSU. I would do it with that guy because he understands the culture. What is that guy's name? He's a highly respected assistant that has a lot of LSU credibility. I would have that guy do it because the fan base and the media knows that he respects the culture. I can't think of that guy's name. Can't think of his name. Adam, what's going on? Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny boy. How are we doing, boss?
Man, this has been a very odd, weird weekend, man. I've never experienced anything like this covering football the way I have. The people really didn't like Brian Kelly, and you're seeing that from every corner of the internet.
Yeah, I'm just kind of blown away on the the last 14 months or so of where we were as a program for Notre Dame, where Brian Kelly was, where everything as far as the college football landscape and where it turned out to be. You know, everything that happened last year, the NIU going to the playoffs, winning everything up into the championship, what happened this year with Franklin and what's happening in Florida and now LSU and Brian Kelly, it's just incredible. I mean, it's incredible. It's like this explosion of nonstop just content, if you will, for the masses, because anywhere you look, you're just like, it doesn't matter what fan you are of what team or what program, it somehow, tracks you into this chaos that has just been going on from week to week.
Yeah, it is. It's been wild. Yes. Thank you, Cindy. Frank Wilson. I did have that name right. The interim guy has LSU credibility, either played or coached there a long time. I forget which. That is the perfect guy to handle this in the interim because he's respected within the LSU culture. That is a good choice. So that'll go over well. Okay. Sorry, Adam.
All good. All good. I think the biggest word that I've been hearing, and it's the very first thing that you and I talked about in the very beginning when you and I first started talking, was culture. That's what we were talking about with Marcus Freeman. We were talking about the buzz that happened in that locker room and within that program when he was announced. That video shows it all for me. And if someone were to write a book or do a documentary or a 30 for 30 or something to that degree on this, you go back to that moment when he was announced as the new head football coach of Notre Dame and him walking into that locker room and the celebration, the genuine celebration of those players for him getting that position. And did he go through the growing pains? 100%. Is he still going through them? Of course. But what you see that's being built over there, it reminds me of the Jerry Maguire scene where at the end, Jerry Maguire and Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, they're sitting there and they're hugging, and then the other players are like, "Why aren't we like that?" To their agents. It's the same thing. It's like everybody's looking over here because they've got this missing out feeling of what their program could be or what their team could be. And as a Notre Dame fan, it's incredible. It's such an incredible feeling because Marcus Freeman has built this up. And yes, there were certain pieces that were in place, but he has taken it and catapulted it so much further than Brian Kelly or anybody else in my mind really could have. Whereas on the flip side, you see the true nature of who Brian Kelly is as a coach, the toxicity, the egomaniac, the narcissistic, tendencies that are out there because it was about him. If you read his lips on the sideline, he's looking at one of his coordinators and he's saying, if you keep calling those effing plays, that's going to get you fired. And it was just like, dude, he had no ability to connect with anybody on that roster. The Nussmeier conversations, and I think Mark with Glasses was talking about that earlier. You look at the way he's interacting with his quarterback, and it was reminded you a little bit of Bill Parcells and Phil Simms back in the 80s. But the difference was they were winning and they understood one another. They had their moments, but they understood one another. And it was whereas nobody really understood this guy. He came in from the beginning completely fake. He's at that rally and he's talking about his family with a twang and all this stuff. I mean, it was just so non-genuine from the start, and people could read through it, and that fan base, I feel for him, man. When I went to that LSU Alabama game back in the day, they lost in overtime. It was one of the most electric atmospheres I've ever been at. And then we flipped it the next day and went into New Orleans for the 49ers Saints game. And all the fans that were there were still talking about the LSU and what they were going to do. How are we going to beat Bama? That's what was on their mind, not what was going to happen with the Saints. The Saints is second fiddle in that city compared to Baton Rouge up the freeway there. It's just, I feel for them, man. And they probably feel bamboozled. They feel hurt. They're like, we got completely taken out. But the last thing I'll say about it is this. Realistically, they're doing a strategic move right now. They realize Florida fired their coach. Penn State's fired their coach. Look for Florida State at some point if Mike Norvell can't get it together to be gone as well. All these big time programs are getting in line and they're saying, who's going to be out there? Who's going to be looking at us? It can't be last second. So you're going to put all the big time programs out there and they're going to say, here we are, choose us. And they're just going to kind of do it in that order. But I think personally, what you just named as their interim, that's kind of the way they got to go. They might have to go through the growing pains as like an ex-player turning coach or whatnot, but you got to find somebody who's going to be more genuine. That's why Ed Orgeron was so popular there, because he was just himself, but he connected with those players.
Yep.
You know, he held people accountable, of course, but he wasn't just destroying people. Brian Kelly sat there and said, why should I recruit these kids to Notre Dame? They should be coming to us. That's how egotistical that guy was. Marcus Freeman's a nonstop grinder out there. They try to compare him to Nick Saban. You know what Nick Saban did? He recruited his ass off, and he went and he had all the players to his house, and he would have them out on the lake, and he would be fishing and talking with them and inviting their families over, getting to know their parents. Like, he put in more effort than Brian Kelly ever could have in his entire life. And it's night and day, man. Yes, he was fiery on the sideline, and a lot of coaches were, but it's in a different context.
So let me ask, what do you think Kelly does next? Does he just ride off into the sunset with that money? Do you think he gets into media to stay relevant, but without the grind? Or do you think he thinks I could still win a championship and I'm going to go after one of these jobs? What would you bet?
Wow. Well, I'll say this. I definitely agree with Tom Frolley earlier when he was talking about that he didn't even think that he was going to be able to get picked up in media, because I don't know if you want that kind of personality in a booth. I don't know if you want to hear some guy probably flip it around and talk about himself instead, rather than what is happening on the field. I don't know if he's capable of doing that.
Man, Adam, I think if you put him on a game day set or like the round table set at halftime on CBS or Fox or whatever, I think he would be interesting if you kept him on task and asked, what do you make of this situation? And it couldn't really be about him. I think he's so polarizing. People may be interested in what he thinks when it's outside of like his team, everybody's rooting for or against. I think there's an element there that could be interesting of people thinking, this guy's so polarizing. I actually want to hear what he has to say when it's no longer for or against his team. Does that make sense, that angle of intrigue?
It absolutely makes sense. If he's able to kind of separate and compartmentalize his own ego and all the different things that he feels about himself.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes. If he's able to do so, then it might be intriguing. They already have the GOAT up there. They got Nick Saban, as you know, on College Game Day. I don't know where he slides in. You got Brady Quinn on Big Ten. You know, like they are strategically placing certain personalities in certain areas on their teams, so to speak. And I don't know where he would fit. I just don't know where it is. What, ESPN? I mean, I don't know. And I'll say this. There is, I mean, I know and I understand it's capitalism. I understand the whole nature of the contracts and all these different things, but there is something wrong when you suck at your job so bad that you get let go mid-season. And here's a check for 54 mil. Man, I wish I sucked that bad. I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? Like if they were to look at me and be like, hey man, you're just, you know what? It's just not working out. We're going to go a different direction, but here's $54 million. It's incredible. It's incredible to me, the amount of money that's going around. And we don't know the stipulations of the contract as well, right? Like the same thing with Franklin. Franklin has this whole thing where he has to find a job and then they'll cut the difference and all these different things.
So Mascana last night said his sources were saying it isn't a lump sum. It's about 800 grand every month for the duration of the contract. Unless he gets another job, then whatever he's making at the other place comes off of that total they would owe him. The institution would not have the ability to pay 53 million lump sum, but when you could space it out and move money around for 800 grand a month, That they think they could do. They even said they have financial commitments for up to a year, and they're figuring they could cover that payment for a year while they figure out how to get more money long term to do it. It's not a good spot, but they decided it's doable. You could move money. What is it? $330 million is their operating budget in the athletic department per year at LSU. I think in that, and if you're able to spread it out, they think they can make it work. So that's what Mascana reported yesterday.
Yeah, and they're going off the philosophy of what the Los Angeles Dodgers did with Ohtani, where they're back, they're basically saying we can handle it for right now and then it'll be back pay later, or we can move the money around different ways, especially if he gets a different job or whatever it might be. And that's where this whole world of college football has completely turned into an economics, class. I mean, you have to be able to understand the business, understand, the economy of where you are currently and how it is that you can space out the money and where it is that you can generate it from and make sure that you have that guaranteed cash coming in order to cover everything. So it's pretty incredible.
You know what I might do if I'm Kelly? Sit out the rest of the year, collect my money, play a lot of golf, decompress, let all this settle down. LSU will move on and all the attention will go to the future. Then what I would do, play a lot of golf and just relax, take the money. Then when we get into the summer and this season's over, then I have my agent working on media stuff, seeing what is the best deal I could get at one of these networks, play that field. That would be what I would do. But again, I don't have that narcissistic ego that guy does. That is the difference. I don't know if he has that off switch or if he still thinks, I know I could do this. I'm going right back at it. I don't know what his feel of that is, but that's one playbook I might use. Chill out, collect the money, let the heat die down, then sniff around them media jobs.
Look, Johnny, I totally agree with you because all right, in my line of business, if something goes right or wrong, whether it's a big call, small call, whatever it was, we do what's called a debriefing. We debrief about the call. We figure out what happened that we did well and what things were that we did, or where we could have improved on, right? And we all sit there together as a team and we go over it step by step. And then we try to get everybody's buy-in. He needs to do this as an individual. He needs to do a full debriefing. And I completely agree with you. Take a step back, take 20 steps back and go just relax for a minute and sit back and ask yourself, what was working? What was working and what was not working and what was the real reason that it didn't work? And if he's sitting there pointing all the fingers at everything else, at the end of the day, then it'll never change. And it's unfortunate because at his age, if he's been this way that entire, his entire life, and he's just kind of built it up, it is fully ingrained in his brain that he is not the problem. And then unfortunately, it would take, I don't know, for most of us, we would sit here and go, I just lost my job. Why is that? Why couldn't I win at a program that is just a juggernaut like LSU that has won championships with all these other coaches, with all the different players, with all the different resources, all the things that you said that you would never have at Notre Dame was given to you at your disposal, and it didn't happen, and you got canned halfway through the season. You tell me. I mean, what is the issue here? And if he doesn't sit there and honestly say, I'm the problem, I need to start looking at what it is that I need to change, then he never will. And it just is what it is. So I don't know, man.
Adam, I don't want to get off this call without asking you about this. Is Notre Dame in at 10-2 regardless of what else happens, or does Notre Dame or you think they're going to need some help?
So my gut is that they're in. Mathematically, no. And the reason why they're not in is because of the fact that there are so many other teams and so many different scenarios that are going to play out over the next 5 weeks, where if certain teams win here but lose there, and there's a ton of 10-2 teams, it's going to be hard to go up against certain ones. Now, right now, the AP poll has us at 12. They have, who is it? Miami and someone else Georgia Tech tied at 10. They're not even putting them at as a 10-11. And I know it doesn't matter because what really matters is not going to be this Tuesday, tomorrow, but the following Tuesday on November 4th, when the playoff selection committee does their first ranking. Now we're going to really find out. Okay, that will tell us where they think they see us. But there's mathematically, if you're talking about like, who can be in or out, there's still a possibility. There's still a roadmap that leads to Notre Dame not being in. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but I would say that more than likely we are in as long as we go 10-2. We keep doing what Mark with Glasses was talking about, and some others about covering the spread. It's about how you win. Don't do what Miami was doing and mess around with Stanford in the first quarter or second quarter and it be 7-6 at halftime or whatever god awful thing that was. Do not sleepwalk through anything. Bulldoze through it. Put that pedal down all the way to the floor and go and do it. And you're going to run into some teams, Navy and Pitt in particular, that are going to be a little bit problematic, but you're going to have to take care of business. So I say they're in, but yes, there is a mathematical way that they could not be in based upon just the way the rest of the college football world is going to play out.
Yeah, it's man, it's going to be really interesting. And really, I think Andrew, somebody said it, in a lot of ways, the first and the last CFP rankings are really what matters, because the first one tells you what they're thinking about each team. That's
Yes.
the big one, because it informs you right away
Yes.
who they're valuing and who they're not. And then like you have an idea of their like landscape of how they're looking at it. So the first one is going to be very interesting. And then all the BS reasons they give of why this team and why not that, whatever. You're going to find out a lot from the first one.
Completely, because there's been a lot of talk about people pushing back on what the AP poll really has been. There's been so many questions of why is this team still up here or why is that team still there? There's pushback on Oregon being at 6 because they're like, what's their biggest win? Penn State? Well, what happened to Penn State? And then you get the human element of the back and forth negotiations and debate of, what is a good win versus a good loss and where the teams were at that particular point in time and how they looked in the remaining games. And so there's so many different variables that come into this where you're just throwing in all these different ingredients into this pot. And you're like, well, what's it going to turn up? But the biggest one, I completely agree with Andrew, is that first one, because you're going to now know where you stand in their eyes, but hey, just remember this, at the end of the day, this is the same kind of committee that sat there and said, no, Florida State, I understand you're undefeated and all these different things, but you don't have your quarterback, you're out, and I know that was a 4-team playoff. I get all that, but it's still the idea, like, you still have to, like, it's not just about winning. It's about winning. It's about winning with style. It's about the look that you have. And please, for the love of God, stay healthy. Do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to keep yourselves at tip-top shape, both mentally and physically. And we'll get it done. We'll get in there.
Yeah, it's man, it's going to be an exciting 5 weeks. But if Notre Dame doesn't make it, they have nobody to blame but themselves. We're just
100%
shakes out. Hey, have a good start to the week, buddy. Thanks for jumping in.
You got it, Johnny boy. You take care of yourself, buddy.
See ya. Dr. John's done the math. The Big Ten gets 3, the ACC 2, the Big 12 1, the extra non-Power 5 1. And then the SEC could end up with 5 one-loss teams. That's 12. Notre Dame's on the outside looking in. Should it be Texas A&M? Like, it's going to be hard to sit here if that happens and be like, we got screwed or whatever. You can't play the defense you played the first 2 games. 10-game winning streak after it or not, you can't play that kind of defense in the first 2 games. I'm sorry. It's just tough. You just can't do it. So I don't know. We're going to find out a lot after that first ranking. And the key part before I get out of here is, if Notre Dame doesn't win these 5, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Got to win these 5. So I don't know, you guys. It's going to be really, really interesting. But if you miss this playoff because of those 2 first games where you are completely out of sorts, and you lose the chance to have Love and Price in this playoff, and then they're gone, one or both, that's going to be a really, really tough pill to swallow, but one that you will have earned by not winning your games, especially the one at home where you gave up half a 80. Give me a break. Give me a break. So, anyways, exciting show. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm going to get out of here, write a couple articles. We'll be on Monday Night Raw with Goolsby tonight. Thank you. Hey, the numbers are up. The viewership's up. Thanks to everybody wanting to be a part of everything we're doing. You guys are awesome. I'll see you on Monday Night Raw.